Okay.
Here with Chris Eubank Jr. Now, it's 3 months ago since we spoke, yeah? You were looking lean then. You look phenomenal now. You look fresh, as they say.
As fresh as somebody woke up 5 minutes ago could look, yeah. But it's, yeah, I mean, Roy's been training, so have I, non-stop. This has been a full camp. And, yeah, I mean, throughout the whole of COVID, really, I've just been on it, ticking over, staying in shape, waiting for that call. And it looks like that call will be answered in terms of when I'm fighting next. Within the next week, I've had news. So very excited and ready to go.
Oh, you're teasing us now.
Yeah, well, I'm what I've been told. And it looks like within the very close future, it's going to be, they're going to tell me when my next opponent is and a date. So I'm happy.
Can I play guessy? Like, is it going to be here, there? I mean, presumably it's over there because travel is...
There has actually been some new developments, let's say. So it could actually be a completely different situation to what I thought it was going to be. But that's the most I can say. But for the time being, yeah, I don't have any official names now of what I think it could be. I'm just it's all kind of fresh and new. So yeah, I'll find out within the next week.
Mum's the word on that anyway for now. As long as you're not in the second fight against Mike Tyson if Roy loses.
Yeah.
Let me ask you about what you do think about the super middleweight fight that's been announced between Saul Canelo Alvarez and Callum Smith for December the 19th in Texas.
Yeah, it's a good fight. I mean, it's a hell of a lot better than some of the fights Canelo was trying to get before the Smith fight. I think he was trying to fight Avni Yildirim, one of my former opponents, and some other guys, and just fights that nobody wanted to see. Callum Smith is, a legitimate world champion, and yeah, it's the right fight. Do I think Canelo is going to win? Yes. I mean, basing it off of what John Ryder was able to do to Callum Smith in their last fight, I don't see how he can handle what Canelo is going to bring to the table. But he's a big boy. He can hit. Boxing's boxing. All it takes is one punch. So he's got that as an equalizer, I guess. But I don't think it's going to be too much competition, in my honest opinion. But we'll see. Canelo, he still has that middleweight belt, the WBA. I'm WBA interim world champion, so that's still a fight that I'm looking to get 100%. And if he's not trying to come back down to middleweight, he needs to give up that belt because, I don't see how he's got these belts in these multiple weight divisions anyway, but he does. But he either has to defend it or he has to give it up. That's what boxing is. So I'm going to keep pushing for that fight.
I'll tell you what I am looking forward to, Chris, with Canelo and Smith is that there's going to be a big crowd in, and that's going to feel different. It's certainly going to look and feel and sound very different to what we've watched for 8 months nigh on,
When you say a big crowd, what do you mean by that?
I think they're allowing 10, it's either 10 or 15,000, something like that,
wow.
in the Alamodome in Texas. It's a very big stadium, so...
I was just there. I was there for the Gervonta Davis fight, so I was in the crowd for that. They had I think it was maybe like 30% capacity there. And
how many was that?
I have no idea. There was a lot of empty seats, but there's a few thousand people maybe. But yeah, I think that that might have been the only fight that I know of that's had a crowd, and maybe that. Either they're having it there again because that area is allowing crowds to come to that arena. So yeah, I mean, and that's very close to where I'm at, where I'm based in Florida. So I will be there watching closely, and yeah, I'm very happy that they're starting to get fans back in. That means there's a good chance that I'll be able to have fans for my next fight.
So you were there that night that Gervonta Davis pulled out that incredible uppercut from hell, beautifully torqued to knock out Leo Santa Cruz. It's knockout of the year for me, that.
Very, 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 very strong and exciting fighter in Gervonta Davis. I think he's going to be one pound for pounds. Maybe he already is. But yeah, he's. I mean, that whole division is an amazing division.
Yeah.
So very exciting to see.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's switch to you. 3 months ago, we had a fantastic conversation. You were very open about what you'd been learning from Roy, and a lot of basics that you said you'd gone back to that were getting imprinted in you, that you kind of knew you had to learn, but it was a different way of learning it. And the blessing of your father, he was delighted that you were working with Roy Jones Jr. What's happened in the intervening 3 months since we spoke in terms of your development?
I did take a break. I took about a month off because I thought that it was the right thing to do, training nonstop for how many months? I think it was like 5 months.
It was, yeah.
I thought, reset, think about the stuff that I had learned, that we had gone over, and just, relax the body and come back and get back on it. After a month or so. So I had a break, and then after that, we pretty much went straight into the training camp for Mike. So I've been helping Roy, get ready for that, and also training myself. Just obviously wanting to be ready, at moment's notice. If any of these big fights fell through, I'd be able to jump in, or if they announce my own fight, be ready. So yeah, solid training for like the last 2 months, and yeah, just learning each and every day more and more. It's amazing how much Roy has to give as a coach. When you think that there's no more that can be taught or can be said about a certain subject or a certain aspect of boxing, he drops another gem, and a whole nother way of thinking about something, whether it's a punch, whether it's movement, whether it's a thought process. So yeah, man, I just got to spend as much time as I can with Roy over these next few years, learn as much as I can, and transfer that into these big fights that are going to be coming my way.
I don't want to sound like a stupid question, but when those, you're talking about IQ things, aren't you, as well? Fighting IQ things. When they come up, are you up to all of them? Do you go click yes, click yes? Is that what you're saying? That obviously it's in your DNA from your dad, and are these kind of little nuances you're talking about from Roy? Are they fine things? Are they nuanced things in a way rather than something very obvious?
I mean, it's crazy because there's so much. Some of them are just stupidly obvious, how didn't I think of that? And some are very, very specialist, very unique to certain situations. Some are very big and some are very small. And the small things are very big because they add up and they make the big things work. So, with the boxing IQ, that's more of the mental aspect of the game, the thought process, thinking about certain situations and how to handle them. Your mental your mental awareness going into a fight, what you should be thinking about doing, setting up opponents, chess. It's very deep. There's many layers to it, and as a fighter, being fighting for all these years, I've come into contact. I have thought about these things, and I've done a lot of these things, but some of the stuff I was doing, I didn't even know I was doing. No one really explained to me why. Whereas Roy, he has an explanation for everything. The things he's talking about, the things he says, there's always a reason behind the things. And obviously the things he is teaching are tried and proven. So it's amazing to hear these things and know that what he's saying is correct and and works. That's always been a problem for me, listening to people in the gyms and sitting back and thinking, well, all right, he's telling me this stuff, but how the hell does he actually know that it's going to work? Or how does he know that it's effective? How many fights has he won? What's he done to base this information off of? And the truth of it is, a lot of guys, they haven't done anything, and then it's just what they think is correct. They don't actually know. Roy knows. My father knows. If he tells you something, he knows that it works because he did it. So that is something that I respect greatly, and it makes me listen, and it makes me believe what I'm being told, and that pushes me forward more and more.
Have you, in the last 2 months, been aping or copying the style of Mike Tyson in the ring for Roy at all? Coming in and I read you were sparring with him as well.
It was it wasn't like sparring. It was body shots at the time. But yesterday we had so we're in LA right now. We're in the Bubble hotel close to the stadium, and there's a gym outside the city that we travel to each day. And yesterday I was doing exactly that. I was in the ring with him, not punching, but just head movement,
making the shapes. Yeah.
Coming forth, letting him move around me, grabbing him. We were not wrestling, but clinching. Just because that's what we believe Mike's going to be doing. He's going to be using that weight and that presence to try and bully Roy. So we just getting used to that movement, getting used to moving around a come forward fighter, and clinching and holding and pushing and stuff like that, which we think he's going to use as a tactic. Yeah, we were doing all of that just yesterday. Probably again today. After this interview, we go back to the gym. So it's just going to be amazing and exciting and interesting to watch how this fight really unfolds. Nobody really knows for sure how it's going to look, how it's going to feel, how they're going to perform. It's just I guess that's why it's so exciting, because it's like, what the hell is about to happen?
Yeah, it's fascinating. I mean, obviously the legitimacy of it has been questioned because of their age and the fact that a lot of people are seeing it in some ways as a freak show. But the truth is, these are two great American boxing legends. One of the big puzzlers for me is that obviously there's no judges. Yeah. There's no judges, by the way. There's no judges. Yeah.
When was that?
Well, that may have changed. Are you going to tell me that's changed?
I don't know. Someone sent me once. Let me just check.
Well, apparently there's.
Somebody sent me something.
Okay, you're having a look at it.
Yeah, because I thought there was judges, but.
Well, if there is, that's news to me, and that's good news as well, actually.
Well, I mean, actually, no. Yeah, the thing that. So the list I was sent to 8 2-minute rounds. 12-ounce gloves, no head guards, no knockouts, but I don't understand. That doesn't make any sense.
I'm going to ask you about that in a minute. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
Fight stopped if there's a cut, no official judge, winner. That's the first time I've heard of that.
Yeah, So that's what I need to want to ask you about. Like, there's no judges, right? In the old days, the referee used to judge fights, okay, in the UK, British titles and so on. Famously, Joe Bugner beat beat Henry Cooper by a quarter of a point. And the referee, Harry Gibb, was taken to court by Henry Cooper over that because he thought he'd been robbed, yeah? Didn't speak to him for like 10 years or something. Yeah, because it was a very close fight. I spoke to Colin Hart about it the other day, and he said, no, I scored it for Bugner as well. In those days, they had quarter of a point. And so no knockouts, right? So what if one of them lands flush?
That's impossible it's impossible to say that, no knockouts, because it's a fight. They're punching each other in the head. If somebody gets hit and they go down, you can't, he's not allowed to do that, so stop the fight. I mean, it doesn't make sense. I think that's more of a publicity thing. They have to say that because it is an exhibition. Now the no judges. People.
Does it matter who wins? Does it matter who wins?
I mean, so people over the last 3 months have been begging me to give them inside information so they can bet on the fight.
Yeah.
Even yesterday, I'm getting texts. Who should I bet on? So,
but you can't do that, of course. Let's just make that obvious. You can't do that. You can't. You can't persuade people one way or the other and say this is going to happen.
I mean, I could, but I wouldn't. I wouldn't. I don't get involved with stuff like that. But them saying there's no judges and no referees. So how are people betting then? I'm confused.
You tell me.
I don't know.
Maybe there isn't a winner in an exhibition bout. But tell me this then. Let me put it this way: is Roy doing his absolute utmost to make sure he doesn't lose this fight?
I mean, absolutely. There's just no way. There's just no way that he could take this lightly, even if he wanted to. It's Mike Tyson. And the world's going to be watching, and he's a proud man. So he's been on it. He's been working through that, the pain barrier that comes with going into a camp at 54 years old.
Mm-hmm.
54, I think. Well, that might be wrong.
Over 50 anyway.
Right. Yeah. He's been going through it, and he's been getting through it. He's not doing all of this for nothing. We went to Pittsburgh. We were in Pittsburgh all of last week, and we're in the middle of nowhere. There's this little gym in the middle of a forest, and it's cold and there's nothing to do, and he's there and he's training every day. It wasn't fun. I mean, it wasn't fun for me anyway. I know Roy actually does like being isolated, and he likes being around nobody and no distractions and all that. But he was away from his wife and his family. He's putting in the work, that's for sure. So all of the stuff that we've done over the last few months, it's not for nothing. He's taking this very seriously, and I'm sure Mike is too. Is it a pay-per-view? I think it is a pay-per-view.
No, it is. It's on. Obviously, it's on the internet. But it's pay-per-view in the UK on BT Sport. There's a watch along on Talk Sport. I mean, it's garnering a lot of interest. I mean,
and there are, there's, let's say big. I mean, there's some interesting fights in the undercard. You've got the is it Logan Paul or his brother Jake Paul?
It's Jake Paul against, I want to say, Nathaniel Robinson or someone. They're big. I mean, they're big YouTube stars, aren't they? So.
Yeah. So I mean, there's going to be a huge audience. I think that these guys are going to bring in another. They always do. They bring in another audience that they get. So, and those fights must have judges and referees. They will have. So, I mean, if they're saying they're not going to have any judges or referees, then I guess
No, they've got to have. No, they're having a referee. They've got to have a referee.
Right.
No,
yeah, that's what.
No,
they have to.
No, they've got to have a referee. I mean, there must be a referee in there.
Oh, there is a referee.
No, I mean, no. And if there isn't, make sure you get in there and you referee it. Yeah.
The question is, will the referee at the end of the fight hold somebody's hand up? You know?
I think my view is going to be this. If they both get to the end, this.
As nobody gets knocked out, I mean, that's probably the likely thing if there's not going to be any judges.
But in truth, look at the way Mike Tyson's been putting out his promos. Like, he's in that mood where he's going to eat Lennox Lewis's children. He's in that kind of mood. Do you know what I mean?
He's got that fire in his eyes. He's talking it.
Yeah.
He looks the part. So, I think they're going to be going in there and they're going to be, from what I've seen from Roy especially, he's not in his spars and in his training, he's not holding back. So I think it's going to be explosive for as long as they can keep it explosive. That's the question: is how long can Mike Tyson last? Because it's well documented that he does smoke. He does do all these things which are not. They're not going to help his stamina. You smoke and then go 8 rounds with anybody, let alone Roy Jones. So that's why I say I think it's going to come down to the first couple rounds. I think
completely agree.
Going to be explosive for the first two rounds, maybe 3. It's 2 minutes. It's 2 minutes. So I think maybe 2 or 3 rounds, and then after that, I just don't see how it's physically possible that he'll be able to have the stamina to be effective against Roy. Roy, I've watched him spar 8 rounds. He can do it. I haven't seen that from Mike. So that's where I get my confidence from, that Roy can be dominant in this exhibition. He's just got to make sure he doesn't get touched in those first few rounds, because I do think Mike's going to come out there and he's going to be ferocious first couple rounds. So it's just whether he can weather that storm and then dominate in the later rounds. That's going to be the deciding factor, I believe, in the fight.
That's exactly how I've picked it and read it, is that Roy takes over after 2.5 rounds and he actually stops Mike Tyson.
Mike stopped, or he could just give up,
Yeah.
Done that before.
But they could just go into, I think they could both have little periods of dominance, and then we might see them making shapes and actually giving us an exhibition by the end of the fight. That's what I also think as well. Actually giving us an exhibition of movement. Tyson does the shuffle. I think we might see it all. They might have a little wrestle. One might throw the other over the ropes. We might see everything in there. But you know what? They'll begin it in kind of deep, dirty respect, but I think they'll end it in even greater friendship. I just got that feeling about it. I think, because what do you say to those who are saying that boxing shouldn't allow this kind of thing to happen between greats of this age? Because there are people critical of it as well.
I mean, they've given so much to the sport. They've done so much for so many different generations of if they want to do it, who are we to say no? They've earned the right to get back into the ring at 50 plus and get that feeling back of their former years, of their former you know, the form of performances, knowing what it's, you know, feeling that ring, that feeling of getting back into the ring and performing in front of a crowd and getting a fight purse. They've earned that. And there is still interest. The names alone garner interest. So I don't think anybody has the right to say boxing shouldn't let them do it. If they feel like they're physically fit enough, they're both grown men. They know what they can do. They know what they can't do. You know, they've had the brain scans and the health tests and everything, and you know, they've been given the okay to fight. So I don't think we can say that they shouldn't do it. Nobody's forcing them to. You know, they're both doing it off of their own will. So if that's what they want to do, then I think they should do it, and I think it's going to be very exciting to watch.
Lennox Lewis is commentating on it. I spoke to him earlier in the week. He's really interested to be there. Israel Adesanya, the UFC middleweight champion, is commentating on it as well.
Okay.
Just tell us what your role is going to be on the night. What are you designated to do?
That's still kind of up in the air. You know, like I said, we're kind of in the bubble right now. I'm going to try and get in the corner. I'm trying to weasel my way in somehow. But if I can't, then I'll just be, you know, obviously I'll be in the change ring with him before. And, you know, if I'm not in the corner, then I'll be ringside watching. And it's, you know, yeah, it's going to be pretty amazing to be a part of that moment in history. And that's, you know, I don't need to be in the corner or have a big part of it. I just want to be there. I just want to support Roy and watch this one-off event, you know.
Well, I'm really delighted that you've had all this time with him, and clearly it's doing you so much good. Can't wait to hear your news. I know it'll be out, as you say, maybe in the next week, on who you're going to be fighting, where and when. Yep. And it's great, as always, to catch up with you. Thank you so much for your time, Chris, as always.
Appreciate it, Gareth. Yeah, and as soon as I know the fight dates, you guys will be the first to know.
Brilliant. Thanks very much, brother. Speak to you soon, yeah? Cheers. Yeah. Thank you.